Hi guys, welcome back to my channel and welcome if you're new, and today we're here with a chilled, really fun, kind of unique video, so let's get into it. Hi guys, my dad has just made me the perfect cup of tea. Last night I came up with a really cool idea, I think. So I tweeted out, send me your favorite gifts right now, it's for science. So today we are doing that science, and that is recommending books based off your favorite gifts. I think it's quite original. I feel like people have done recommending books based off your for a while now, but I haven't seen anyone do gifts. Yeah, I thought it was quite unique. I'm sorry if anyone has done it before, but I personally haven't seen anything on the internet like this type of video, and I thought it'd be really fun, and people came through. I had quite a lot of responses. I'm not going to be able to get around to all of them, plus I don't have book recommendations for all of them. Let's just get into it. We're going to take it really chill today because I feel like it. Also, I thought that we could end on my favourite gift and I could recommend a book based on my favourite gift as well. So you guys came through and recommended me loads of gifts, so I'm going to recommend you loads of books, and then I will recommend my favourite gift. Of course it's Disney themed, but you'll have to wait and see which one at the end of the video. So without further ado, let's go into the first one. So Darian from Darian Reads sent me one, and it's the Maybe So one. I'll put these all on screen for you guys. But yeah, this one I was like, maybe so, maybe I will read a book one day, maybe I won't. So I kind of thought of the prompt of a book that I want to read, but will I ever get around to it? Probably not. And for this one, I thought of Little Woman by Louise Alcott. I really want to read this book, but will I ever read it? I highly doubt it. I probably have like a 5% chance in my lifetime that I'd actually read this book. It's just so chunky. I don't like classics, and I just don't think that book's for me. And the only reason I actually want to read it is because it features in Friends. Rachel reads Little Woman while Joey reads The Shining, and I said to myself I was going to read The Shining, I was going to read Little Woman, because obviously Friends is a massive part of my life. I tried reading The Shining, I DNF'd it, so I was like, okay, well, I'll still read Little Woman, but will I actually read it? Probably not. I already know that Joe dies, so Friends spoiler, Little Woman spoiler right there, sorry, but I already know, like, I feel like the big main plot, like, I don't need to read it, but I kind of want to, so, maybe one day, maybe I'll read it, maybe I won't. Thanks, Darian, for your gift. Georgia, the lovely Georgia, sent me a GIF classic, which is this one. Okay, for Georgia's GIF, I just had to do some research. I had to go find the book that I wanted to use for this, and it is actually a book that I would recommend. I love this book so much. And Georgia's GIF, it just brings a smile to my face. I love using that GIF when I'm really excited for something. So what is a book that kind of makes me really happy, that makes me really excited? So I went for Ivy Aberdeen's Letter to the World by Ashley Herring-Blake. I discovered Ashley Herring-Blake last year and fell in love with her work. I just think it's absolutely incredible. She writes all middle grade queer books, I believe. They're all queer, whether they're middle grade or not, but the books I've read from her have all been middle grade, and I fell in love with this book. I read it in a day. It focuses around Ivy when she's trying to discover who she is. She expresses herself through drawing pictures of girls in her journal, and when her tornado rips through her family home, she loses everything apart from this journal, but then this journal goes missing, and it's about trying to deal with what she's going through without the outlet that she like is used to. It so heavily focuses on family, which if you guys know me and my channel, it's what I talk about a lot. I love books that center around family, especially middle grade and YA, because I feel like when it comes to fantasy and all that sort of stuff, I feel like family gets left behind. And then I feel like contemporary, they get left behind as well, when really family sometimes is really important for a storyline. This one doesn't shy away from family dynamic, and I absolutely adore it. So definitely a book that makes me happy. Plus the cover is just so pretty. Like, how can you not smile at that cover? It's stunning. So that is a book that makes me really happy. The next gift we got was from Kendra, and I thought this one was really funny because her spooky season is coming up, and that is that one. And I was like, well, that isn't spooky, but I don't like spooky season, but I don't mind this gift, it's all right. So like a spooky book that I don't find terrifying to read. And I have a couple for this, but I think the first one that jumps straight to mind is the A Good Girl's Guide to Murder series by Holly Jackson. I have the third book to hand, so I'll hold this up, but obviously the first book is A Good Girl's Guide to Murder. The second one being Good Girl, Bad Blood, and the third one being As Good as Dead. And I think this is a really easily accessible mystery thriller book, and for me to enjoy it says a lot, because I don't tend to gravitate towards that genre very often, and I adored all 3 books in this series, so I definitely think this is like a mystery thriller that I enjoyed reading. But another one I really enjoyed is No Exit by Taylor Adams. I don't have a physical copy of this book because I read it as an audiobook, which I highly recommend, by the way. It's just an incredibly atmospheric book, and it just put me on edge, and I had to keep pausing the audiobook when I read it. But I highly recommend that book. It's all about a woman who is driving home in a snowstorm, but she gets so stuck that she has to pull over into a like rest station, I guess. And then she pulls in there, there's only a few cars there, and she realizes that in the back of a van a girl is being kidnapped, but the people that she is spending this snowstorm with, one of them is the kidnapper and she doesn't know who, and it's all about kind of figuring that out, and it's so good. So those are a couple of mysteries that I can deal with that kind of make me happy because I really enjoyed reading them, but I can't do like full spooky season or full spooky books. So that is the gift from Kendra, so thanks Kendra. The next gift we have was Becca, and it's like an ice skating one, and he literally lands it perfectly. I don't know if you'd be able to see it, like that's a difficult spin and he lands it incredibly. I've never seen that gift before. I think it's brilliant. And I was thinking, like, what's a book with a perfect ending? And I was like, because he lands it so perfectly, it's like probably the end of his routine. So what is a book that I think was so satisfying at the ending, like it just wrapped up perfectly? And I couldn't do anything apart from Me, My Dad and the End of the Rainbow by Benjamin Dean, because I think this book, you go on such a journey with Archie from at the beginning when his parents had just got divorced, but his family is still kind of really struggling, and he realizes that it's because his dad is gay, and the journey that Archie goes on of acceptance and self-discovery and discovery about his relationship and how his relationship with his father will now change and not change, and the amount of like diverse characters in this book. Like, this book from start to finish was perfect. So I had to shout this book out, and I absolutely adored it, and it got my first 5-star of 2021, so that says a lot about the book in itself. So yeah, definitely if you haven't read this book, I'm looking at a few of you that I know you own it, friends, Chloe for example, I know you own it and you haven't read it yet, so can you please just read it? Thanks. The next prompt we got kind of just warmed my heart because it's from Krista, and it's Belle looking at all the books, and I just love that gift so much. It's a classic within the book community, I feel like. So I was like, what's a book I'm just going to recommend to everyone? Because Belle's like, look at all these books, look at all these books. And I'm like, what's a book I could recommend to everyone that I think everyone could take away something from it? So of course, it had to be no other than All Boys Are Blue by George M. Johnson. If anyone was expecting that, props to you, you know me very well, but I think anyone who reads this can get something out of it. It's like making my white balance go really weird. I think anyone who reads this can get something out of it, and I think that's such a powerful thing and an excellent thing to be able to do when you're writing a book. This book is obviously written by George M. Johnson themselves about their time growing up black and queer in a minority community, and you follow them from when they're 5 years old all the way up to going off to university. And there's lots of trigger warnings in this book, like homophobia, blackism, racism, sexual assault, physical and emotional. There's a lot in here. It's all listed at the front of the book, but I think it's such a powerful read for anyone to read. I learned a lot from this book, and George M. Johnson is a natural born storyteller. The audiobook is incredible. If you don't have access to the physical copy, the audiobook is also amazing. And I just absolutely adore this book, and I think everyone should have the opportunity to read it because you can take so much out of it, and you can learn so much, and you can empathize with George so much as well. I just think it's an incredible book, and yeah, I highly recommend everyone read it if they are able to. Yay! The next one we have is from Rosie, and it's a really cute cat gif, but it's like they're in like about to cry with like heavy breathing, and I was like, they're not crying, but they're like almost crying. What's a book that I wasn't expecting to cry at, but at the end it just got me, it hit me in the feels, and for that it's A Man Called Uwe by Frederick Bachman. When I was going into that book, I did not realise that it was going to make me so emotional, but I absolutely fell in love with it, and it's now my favourite Frederick Bachman book, which is saying a lot because I loved Anxious People as well as Every Morning the Way Home Gets Longer and Longer. So for the fact it took top spot just says something, and I think it was a well executed book, and the way it all kind of linked up by the end, and the way Frederick Bachman left Uwe, it pulled at my heartstrings, and I didn't expect to cry. I didn't expect to enjoy this book very much because Beartown hadn't been very good for me, and yeah, it just was such an unexpected tearjerker for me, and I adored it for that reason. So that was me reading A Man Called Uwe, but then at the end all the tears did come out of my face. So the next gift we have is from Rachie, and it's quite suggestive, so I thought, what was a book that I really enjoyed the smut with? And for that, it either has to be The Kiss Quotient by Helen Huan, which is somewhere in my stack that I can't be bothered to get, so you're just gonna have to deal with pictures on the screen. And then also A Sweet Mess by JC Lee. Not smut in a way, but really, really good sexual tension. I thought both were done really, really well. Kiss Quotient is obviously quite a popular book, known for really, really good smut scenes, like actual smut scenes, whereas A Sweet Mess by JC Lee is lesser known, but the way JC Lee writes sexual tension in a book and how she drags out kind of slow burn romances, I think is excellent, and I highly recommend that book if you haven't checked it out and you do like slow burn romances. I think it's a really well done book. So those are the books I'm recommending for the kind of suggestive wink gift. And then Rachie sent quite a few in, and another one I wanted to do was this one because it is also one of my favourite gifts, and that is like, oh my god, I'm so excited! So like, what book am I really anticipating for the latter half of the year? And there's one in particular, and that is Walking on Sunshine by Giovanna Blaccia. Who guessed that one? Because that one's pretty common. If you know me, you know I love G. You know I'm anticipating that release. To High Heaven. There's also another one that I'm anticipating, and that is George M. Johnson's next book, which is We're Not Broken. So there's a couple that I'm anticipating for the latter half of the year, but I think Walking on Sunshine just beats it, because George M. Johnson came out of a book last year. This was their debut. So like, I'm not eagerly anticipating like their next book, because I have already recently read a book of theirs, and no matter how much I loved it, like G hasn't come out of a book since like 2017, so I've like 5 years in the making of this book, and I just can't wait to get my hands on it. So I just think I'm anticipating that one more, because I know I love her as an author, and I just haven't read anything new from her in so long. But this book basically follows 3 best friends who go on a road trip in their like late 20s, early 30s, I think, of like self-discovery. They think going on this trip will kind of refigure themselves out, and they can kind of center themselves, but I think something happens along the way and they end up kind of doing something. I don't really know. I don't really want to know any more than that, so we'll just see. But I'm highly anticipating, and I definitely go like this when I think about it. So yeah, recommending those 2 books based off that gift. So thank you, Rachie, for sending a few in. Okay, so then Chloe came through with a great, I'm gonna say he's from The Office. That gift is from The Office. It says, take 2 of these and call me in the morning. So I'm gonna go for a book that everyone loved, but I personally hated. And I don't need to say any more than this, and that's Beetroot by Emily Henry. Moving on. Next gift we got was from Mike, and I've never seen this gift before, but I'm like, it reminds me of like, I'm giving you something, like, here, have it, and here, have it. Take it from me. Read it, basically. So a book that I feel like everyone needs to read, like, you need to read this right now. Here, have it. For that prompt, I obviously just talked about this book, so I won't go into it in more depth, but yeah. Just another shout out of this incredible book. Go read it if you haven't. Chloe, I'm looking at you again. Next one we have is from Elizabeth, and it's literally like, get out, get out, get out, get out. And I was like, what's a book that I was reading that when I was reading it, I wanted no one to knock on my door. I wanted no one to interrupt me. So a book that I was so invested in, I just wanted to keep turning the pages and keep turning the pages. And I would say the whole of the Kiss of Deception series by Mary E. Pearson. Yes, a fantasy, shocker, I know, but I do read them here and there, and I absolutely love the Kiss of Deception series, and I binged all of them last year during lockdown, and it just gave me so much comfort and joy during that time. And I read the last book, The Beauty of Darkness. It's like an 800-page book in like 3 days. I just couldn't stop turning the pages. It was so good, and I just wanted no one to disturb me, my boyfriend not to FaceTime me, to not text me. I just wanted to like constantly read the book and just devour it, and that's what I did, and I had a brilliant time. So comment down below a book that you didn't want anyone to interrupt you with when you were reading it, because I would love to know books that you just couldn't put down. You didn't want any calls, you didn't want any text, you didn't want any distractions, and let me know in the comments down below. I'll be really interested. And then the next one was from India, and I've never seen this gift before at all, but it made me chuckle, and it's this one. And I can just imagine like you 2 friends talking about a book, and you're like, oh my god, this book was incredible. and then you're like, what? You haven't read it? But that prompt basically a book that I want everyone to read so I can discuss with everyone. It is Olive by Emma Gannon. Hey! If you haven't read this book and you want a coming of age book that isn't a YA, that is about self-discovery, about finding yourself when you're stuck in your late 20s, early 30s. It's about motherhood and infertility and struggling to come to society's pressures of not wanting to have kids. And I would drop it, but I don't want to damage this beautiful book. But like, mic drop, everyone needs to read this book. So if you haven't read it, read it and then slide into my DMs and discuss it with me, because like, what? You haven't read it? And the last one that we're going to be discussing today is this one from Melina. And it's a book that got me into a book hangover, because she's sliding down the pole, she's reading the book, and then she's gone. She was either into a slump or she got into a book hangover because the book was so good. And I haven't thought of an answer for this, but if we're going for recent books, All the Lonely People by Mike Gale put me into a major slump, which I am still in, so thanks for that. I'm not like ripping off Mike Gale, he's one of my favourite authors, I love him to pieces, but that book just wasn't for me this month. I just couldn't get myself through it. I will retry and pick it up at a later date. So that has recently got me into a slump. Like, I was reading it, it was really slow, and then I was like, no, I'm done. So let's just go with that, because I don't think I'm going to think of another one. I hope you enjoyed this like mini ramble video of like a few books I recommend, a few books I'm kind of joking about. And I really appreciate you guys like participation in sending me all your favourite gifts. Oh wait, I said I was going to do my favourite gift. Okay, frequently used, I have quite a few. But because I've already done some that I'm really excited for, because I have like Rachel and Phoebe Going Yay, which would be like a book I'm excited for, a book I really enjoyed. But there's one gift that I use quite a lot when my friends are down and I want to send them some like electronic hug and just say like, I'm here for you. And that is Sully and Boo having a hug. Like, that gift is like the cutest gift, and I'm going to interpret that into what is a comfort book for you. And for me, that has to be a comfort book. It wouldn't be my channel if I didn't say Billy and Me by Giovanna Fletcher. Not the best actually, or I Heart New York by Lindsay Kelp. Either of these two just bring me so much comfort and joy. I've tabbed them both up. They both look stunning. Both of them not perfectly written, both written quite a long time ago, so there are some issues with them. But this was a book that got me into reading, so it just brings me so much comfort revisiting this story every year and just re-remembering why I love reading so much. But then also, this book always gets me out of slumps. If I'm in a slump, I will reread it and it'll always get me out of a slump. So this book also has a lot of like sentimental value in it, and this is always a comfort to me as well. Just having them both on my shelves and I can look at and just smile, definitely comfort books and a hug in itself when it comes to reading. So they are all the books in today's video. If you enjoyed this video and you'd like to see a part 2, and if you want to participate in future videos like this, you've got to make sure you are following me on social media, where I do Q&As and I shout you guys out and I kind of ask you guys for help with videos. So if you want to follow me on social media, it's always linked down below for you guys. But if you enjoyed this video and you would like a part 2, make sure you give this video a massive thumbs up. Subscribe down below to see future content from me. I do anything from weird videos when I have great ideas. My little brain is clever sometimes. Fun TBR games, weekly reading vlogs, themed reading vlogs, challenges with my boyfriend. I do it all here. So if you want some fun bookish content to watch and dig your teeth into, then make sure you're subscribed to my channel, because I know you won't regret it. And without further ado, I will see you in my next video. Bye guys.